good time to video 29 Glenmarie Drive. Alan's just finished the mowing and I'm making this little video so that we've got a record of our time here. 22 years and it's just flown. These two roses on the front gate posts are going to be a sea of colour in a couple of weeks. They're a rose called, oh gosh, I've forgotten. It's an American rose and it's a stripy pink and white rose. These liquid ambers have grown quite a lot in the time we've been here. The trunks of the trees were very small when we arrived. You can see now they're quite big. When we first arrived here, we had to wrap the stems in silver foil to stop the rabbits eating them. We added these two round beds at the front gate, either side of the front gate. At the moment they've got a weeping rose in them and a type of aloe cactus. We've had roses in there and they began to struggle as the weather got drier. So we made the change. This bed's doing particularly well. There were two big pencil poplars at the front gate as well that didn't like the increasingly hot summers, and unfortunately they died. So we had to make a decision. Do we cut them right out or do we leave them and turn them into something? And we decided to buy these spheres, rusty spheres, and make a feature out of them. This tree we're looking at now is a pin oak and it's been a fantastic tree, a beautiful tree. We wish there were more of them on the property. Because 29 Glenmarie Drive is part of the Walnut Grove estate, we decided that we should plant a walnut tree. And this is our walnut tree. I don't think we've actually got one walnut from it. That doesn't mean to say it doesn't grow walnuts, it grows plenty, but the cockatoos get them every year. Walking up towards the house now, where this bit of a hump or rise in the land lies. It was a rose bed until 2 years ago, which held many roses, but once again climate got the better of it, so we decided to get a bobcat in, remove it and just sow it down to grass and pop the urn out here as a feature. Another bed towards the front with the aloes. This one actually has some roses in with it, and then the bigger bed behind has got some other plantings in behind. You can't see it very well. Down the front here there are two little blue wrens at the moment flying in and out, and they've become quite tame. They come to us when we're sitting on the front veranda for morning tea every day. You can just see the nandinas poking in behind the statue. The tree in the background here is the persimmon tree, which has been a great bearer of fruit over the years, and we've supplied many people with persimmons. This is a bottle brush head and it's done very well. Doesn't need any pruning. That's its maximum growth. It's been like it for years, and it's very popular with the birds. They nest in there. At the moment I'm walking underneath two big golden ash trees. I'll just back up a bit, and they are absolutely beautiful in autumn when they are covered in gold. So there's two here, 1, 2, and they're just starting to come in leaf now. Walking back over to the driveway, you can see another tree that is just coming into leaf, so it's had its little flowers and now the green leaves are starting to show. This one is a Canadian maple, and once again beautiful red autumn foliage. This tree here is another golden ash, which we transplanted. It was in the garden in the middle of the driveway when we arrived, but it was planted right on the side next to the rocks. We didn't give it much hope. It actually split in two when we transplanted it, and we bound it up, made a garden bed around it and hoped for the best, and it's done really well as well. Originally with lots of other plantings, but we've put in the ever reliable cactus, which has formed a mat around most of the garden, with the odd helleborus still surviving, and the goddess lilies, which die down each year and then come back again. Back to the driveway. So looking back towards the front gate, we had an avenue of liquid amber trees, and now we've got 2 crepe myrtle trees either side of the driveway that have only been in 12 months, followed by 2 kumquats which have been there 20 odd years, and after that 2 golden gladitzias, which are a beautiful tree as well. We had to prune those back, and the liquid ambers, in order to get a truck in to move. This garden in the middle of the driveway is mainly roses, and we have a couple of orange trees which were there, a crabapple tree and a few bulbs, the blue Dutch iris. And because it's early in the season, we don't have many roses out at the moment. We've got a bit of damage to the roses, as in this one. That damage there happens when the parrots come and chew the young growth. But we just have to learn to share the garden with the birds. This is a crabapple which bears a lot of fruit, and over the years I've made many jars of crabapple jelly out of the fruit. Here are a couple of roses that are about to come into bloom. So we usually figure that by Melbourne Cup Day this garden will be fully in bloom. So coming around the driveway here, we've got, I guess you call it an avenue or a hedge of Valencia oranges, which help to screen out the neighbours and provide a bit of a windbreak for across this area here. Now we're looking at the house, starting at the garage end. It's a long rectangular shape with a veranda all round. And we'll go out the front and then we'll take a walk around the veranda. The old faithful Commodore that goes in and out to work, and that's all these days. But it's served us well for many years. Across the front of the house we've got some English type plants, camellias, gardenias, azaleas, some smaller roses, white port wine magnolia, nandinas, and herbs all mixed in. Our pink front door, got a little bit tired of the brown front door, so when we had the place painted about 5 years ago, decided to go with something different. Here's Nana and Papa's clamshell bird bath. It's a bit grotty at the moment, but the birds like to bath in there every day. And so as I swing around here, you'll see we're back to the other side of that bottle brush hedge. And I'll turn and look at the house now because I've run out of room to walk. So you can see it's a long homestead style house. Okay, walking back to the veranda. This is our favourite spot to sit and have morning tea, get the morning sun in here. We do the crossword thanks to Mum, who keeps us in good supply of the age cryptic crosswords, and Alan makes us a nice brewed coffee, and we sit out here and enjoy that. This is some of Alan's handiwork. He's made a table out of bits and pieces, the bottom of an old door and the glass top off an old table, and just added some cards for a bit of fun underneath. My bird of paradise flowered last year for the first time. You can see it's quite big. It had 4 flowers on it, so that was pretty exciting. It's got a couple of new buds coming up, but it's a bit hard to tell at this moment in time whether they're flower buds or leaf buds. And fern's looking good. Okay, down under the veranda we've got some lovely little orchids which were courtesy of Mum and Dad at Wellington. So I've got 3 pink ones flowering and a little white one just about to come into flower. Let's see if I can, yeah, there it is. You can probably hear the mower in the background. That's Alan now mowing out in the paddock. So once again, across the other half of the front of the house, lots of English plants. I've even got a hosta growing there, which is amazing because that's a tropical plant. It doesn't like the winter, but it does die right off in the winter and come back again. You'll notice a few of these stick-looking trees. They're crepe myrtles, just starting to get their leaves. They'll be up as high as the sprouting by January, and they'll be a massive colour. Little pineapple sage, which I've just got going last year, and it was massive red spiky flowers, which is really nice. And your juga. It doesn't really like the heat, but keep it watered well, and it tolerates the summer. This is Jacob's ladder just coming up here, which is a really pretty little thing. It's not flowering yet, the flowers aren't open, but they're close to it. The white convolvulus took off around this side of the house. We had it out the back, but it was a bit too exposed for it, so we've been lucky that it decided it liked it around here. This is a Christmas cactus. Would you believe Nana Cocking gave that to me when we were first married, which is 40 years ago, and it's still going strong. Down to the other end of the house, we've got a peony rose just about to burst into flower. Beautiful white perfume flowers. We've got clivia lilies, which unfortunately look a bit scruffy. That's thanks to the severe frost we get here. This one's a bit more sheltered, and you can see it's just past its best, but they're a beautiful display. Camellias, all convolvulus, box, rosemary, cactus. If there's a spot where nothing else grows, we just break off bits of the cactus and they tend to take over and fill in. This olive tree is about 3 years old, doing really well. Replaced a peach tree which died. I've actually dug up a few of the plants to take with us, just because I really like them. So we've got clivias, we've got red nerines, peony, Jacob's ladder and the hosta. I'm growing some rosemary to take, and that's probably it. I think the rest can stay. You don't want to destroy the garden when you leave. This here is ginger, which I planted when we moved in. It was just a bare tank and it was a skinny area. Gran McVean always had ginger growing down the back of her yard in 3080 Illawarra Road, and it had a beautiful perfume, and I thought, well, this would be a good spot for it, and it's rewarded me with lots of beautiful blooms over the years. Out the back, looking towards the other end of the house, you can see we have a lovely little garden out here. They're carpet roses, and they will be in bloom in another 3 or 4 weeks, I'd say. In front of the mudroom window, we've got petite pink camellias, Sanqua camellias, and some of the native grasses. This little room has been really handy. Sort of shelters the area in winter, keeps it a little bit cooler in summer. This church pew will go to Hugh and Elise. Nanny Jean bought that for us when her church closed down, and I just gave it a new coat of paint not so long ago. Some fire dogs from Wellington, which she was going to take as well. This is a little entertaining area out the back. Table and chairs both need a bit of a revamp, so we'll pull the timber off both of them and get new timbers when we shift. Poor old birds can't really bathe in that. I think it looks empty. Here's a job for later. Need to fill that up. This bed surrounded what was the pool, which we filled in probably 8 or 10 years ago, and it's got a variety of plants in it again, some of which have worked, others which are not so good. And right in the middle where the pool was, we have a crabapple, which is a really dark pink one. It's a beautiful specimen. Unfortunately, when it's flowering, we have a lot of strong wind in spring, and it's really knocked it about. I probably should have done this video a couple of weeks ago. Let's see if I can find a remnant. There we go. That's it. And once again, the reason I planted this was Gran McVean had one of these in the front lawn at Illawarra Road, and I always loved it, and I thought, yep, that's a perfect spot for it. So we've enjoyed that, and it's done really well. So this is the area where the pool was. just to continue going along to the back of the house, back to where we started. We have another garden here which has had various incarnations over the 22 years. It's had bottlebrush, it's had the convolvulus, and now it's got these reeds, which is probably not what I thought I would go for, but you've got to go with what suits the area and the conditions. It's pretty hot, pretty dry, little native grasses as well. Here's one of the girls from Wellington. We'll take her with us. Here's our dragonfly, which one of our students made at school using parts from Dad's workshop and Papa's cast-offs. This is the first item that he made. He made a dog. I called him Rusty for obvious reasons. And we're back down to the start of the house. Just swinging around to the garden now. We put these fruit trees in. We've got a couple of pears, an apricot, a quince which has just started. Unfortunately, most of these plants are, I guess, favourite food for the birds too, so we don't get a lot off it. I think we only ended up being able to eat 3 quinces ourselves last year. The birds got the rest. We put in a lot of citrus trees when we first arrived, and they're a variety which keep us going, and lots of friends and family. They're limes, lemons, oranges, mandarins, tangelos, lemonade. We've probably got most of the citrus covered here, I think, but we don't have a grapefruit. I'm not a fan of it. We have a paddock at the back of our place which is, at the moment, ready for baling. If we were going to stay here, we'd have that cut and baled pretty soon. But the people who have bought our place plan to put a couple of cows in here, so we're going to leave it as is. There's a burn pile down the back, which is always fun. Usually have some roast potatoes in foil. Sounds like Alan's almost finished. Yep, he's got the mower over at the shed, so I'll go down that way in a moment and help him with the clean-up. It takes 2 to lift it up and clean underneath. Here's the statue from Wellington. She's actually looking quite regal now she's weathered. I like the lichen on her and that weathered look. Another bit of artwork. This was a shovel of Grandpa's that Bailey's turned into an owl. The other side of the pool garden. At the moment here I'm under another deciduous tree. It's another type of oak. It's not a pin oak, but it's beautiful shade in summer. This rose here is your rose, Dad. It's a Scotch rose, so it did quite well. We'll have to get one that we took cuttings at your place to put in at wherever we go. All around the back of the garden. If something doesn't grow, as I said before, tend to stick a cactus in and it fills in the holes. Down here towards the shed, we've got a beautiful wisteria on our left. Not fully in bloom yet, but not far off it. very delicate. It's taken a good grip on the pole that's holding it up. It's almost like a python squeezing it tight. More citrus. Round to the garden on the other end of the house. One of our wood heaps. This garden gets some afternoon shade, so it does quite well. You can see the paddock at the front, so we've got two, the one at the back, this one here as well. We ran sheep in until a couple of years ago. Down the front there's a mound garden with cypress and olives and things in it, which has been good considering it hasn't ever been watered in its life. Then we've got Alan's shed where he does all his chainsaw work and fixing all sorts of things. It's very handy, and he's now turned it into a home gym during COVID, so we've got homemade equipment because you couldn't buy it. Oh, there's a fig tree. Oh, look, it's actually figs on it. They won't be far off. They've sort of grown overnight. And over here, this was our sheep run. So we'd pop them in here when we had to clip their feet or drench them or do whatever you got to do. And then we have some other shedding here. So there's a wood bay, there's an equipment bay, a rider mower bay, and the end one is where Nell, our Labrador, had her run. Over in the paddock we've got our wood pile that Alan brings the wood in from. We've got a dam in the corner of the back paddock. I was just looking to see if the ducks are around, but they're not. This year we've had a clutch of 22 with two parents. We really think that they're two clutches that were joined together, and the other parents abandoned their ducklings, and a very maternal and paternal pair took them over. No, unfortunately they're not there today. Okay, I think that's probably it. Oh, there's the mower ready to be cleaned up. So I'll go now. Hope you enjoyed the tour of 29 Glenmarie Drive. We've had a great time here, and we hope that the next family enjoy it as much as we do. Bye.